The webinar will be recorded, and it's on a wintry day. It's a great topic to talk about songs for healing and belonging with Deanna Gestrin, who is joining us all the way from BC. But what's new and exciting for us? We have some offerings coming up, as you know, for folks. We are working at our conference, our upcoming conference this November, being in Ontario. We do have a level 2 training coming up in March, and our level 1 training, next one, is in May. We also have a couple new virtual learning studios in our community. We have the 10 Domains with our very own Bev Foster, and we also have Music is Neurodiverse with Dr. Rachel Finnerty. Today, I'm really excited to share about our webinar, and just a little reminder that if you're looking for more of our webinars and our other resources online, you can always go to our resource page where we have everything organized by topic, of course, where you can, and everything there is free, of course, on our webinar, our resource page. And as I said, our upcoming training, so we have level 1 and level 3 in May and level 2 in March. And coming up next time is also an education-based webinar called Fostering Connection Through Community Music with Erin Parks. And Erin does a lot of research and work out of the Lotus Center in Ottawa, of course. And if you want to know more about us, feel free. I'll just share the screen for a minute to take a snapshot of a QR code. And so a little bit more about Deanna and about today. Deanna is a vocalist, a conductor, and a music educator employed as a faculty associate at Simon Fraser University in BC, where she teaches the Indigenous Perspectives Teacher Education module. She is a member of the Haklip First Nation. In addition to her long career in K-12 music education with the Burnaby School District, Deanna is a registered clinical counselor who provides mental health care to Indigenous communities. Community wellness is central to her work. With her Healing Circle program, Sing, Share, Connect, she aims to enhance empathy, resilience, connection, and communication through Indigenous teachings, drumming, singing, movement, and storytelling. Additionally, Deanna leads community song creation and drum circle workshops and leads an intergenerational Indigenous drumming and singing program called VYC Kindred, a branch of the Vancouver Youth Choir Organization. Kindred is a free program that brings together immigrant and Indigenous youth with Indigenous leaders to learn about hand drumming, singing, and Indigenous culture. Through her educational, musical, and intercultural work, Deanna aims to increase community wellness by building cross-cultural, intergenerational bridges between people, families, and communities. And without further ado, I'll let Deanna kick it off today.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Kahwa alapsh, Deanna Gestrin and Squatchicha. My name is Deanna Gestrin. My family comes from the Shtatliamuk territory. I also have roots in Stalo territory. So that's Lillooet area and kind of like the lower mainland in BC. And I have English and Irish and Scottish heritage as well, kind of a mix. And I'm really happy and grateful to be invited here. Thank you so much, Dawn, for connecting with me. I'm going to pop us into a screen share. And also, I will invite you soon to be in conversation all as a group. So I'll go into my screen share and then come out of my screen share at a certain point. And if we could put cameras on at that time and connect with each other, that would be really great. So just bear with me as I pull up my presentation. So today we're talking about songs for healing and belonging. And when I'm thinking about songs for healing and belonging, I'm really thinking about community. I'm thinking about the opportunity for us to share interculturally. And it's really been a beautiful progression of my career to be starting to think about healing in care context, kind of combined with music. So it's really beautiful that Dawn invited me to be here because this is my world. I would invite you now to to think about your connection to land. I am presenting today at SFU, Simon Fraser University, and I'm on the traditional unceded territory of the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, the Musqueam, and the Quequitlem people on Burnaby Mountain, what is colonially known as Burnaby Mountain. And I invite you into a practice of reflection about the territory that you're on. So if you feel comfortable closing your eyes in your space or maybe just holding a soft gaze, I invite you to reflect on the territory that you're on, whose ancestral territory it is, how long you've been in that territory, and what your relationship is to the territory. So our lands outside our windows, the spaces that you occupy, the spaces that you work in, they are really supportive to us. They provide everything we need, and we need to take care of those lands as well. So when I'm reflecting on my relationship with the land, I'm thinking about the people who have caretaken that land for thousands of years. And when I give a territorial acknowledgement, I'm really like honoring the gift that I have to be in this territory where I currently am or where I live. I'm honoring that gift, and I'm respectfully like holding reverence for the people who have taken thousands of years caretaking the land and also being in relationship, in reciprocity with the land. So I invite you to just reflect on that, think about your own relationship to the land, and maybe notice any feelings that come up for you when we're talking about this relationship to land. You know, maybe you have questions. Maybe you feel a sense of connection or a place comes to mind. Maybe there's a feeling of gratitude. And maybe there's also a commitment that you hold to be in relationship with the land. And what I mean by that is to understand that we are responsible for caring for and nurturing the land like the land cares for and nurtures us. And when you feel ready, just invite you to take a breath in and out, and maybe a stretch if that's something that you need if you're on your lunch break. And then coming back to our presentation. And thank you for your introduction, Dawn. I'd like to, just speak to a few of these identities that you talked about in the introduction. So I'm a mother of two beautiful and wonderful children. My oldest is 21, my youngest is 19, and they have been involved in music, thankfully, their whole lives. I mean, they really started humming and singing as tiny children. And you don't always know that your children are going to love what you love. And so it's just been a beautiful journey with my children, seeing them develop into musicians and hold appreciation for music in the way that I do. My oldest is in social work in 4th year at UBC, and my youngest is in an Indigenous film program at Capilano University. I've also been a music teacher for a number of years. So I taught baby music, where you have your baby on your lap and you're learning songs with other moms and their babies. I taught that in my living room, when I was in my middle 20s when I had my first child, and I taught elementary school K-7 music for a number of years. Taught band and choir in a secondary setting for the majority of my music teaching career, and have also taught post-secondary music. Now I'm working in teacher education, working at Simon Fraser University, where I lead an Indigenous focused cohort. Students are really learning how to incorporate First Peoples principles into their teaching, embodying practices that align with reconciliation and decolonized teaching practices. In the pandemic, I recognized my role in the school as a secondary music teacher as somebody who was trusted And a lot of students would come to me and connect with me and want to share stories. And I realized, at times I don't have the right training to be able to support these students in a way that I think is responsible. And so I changed my path and I went and completed a Master of Counseling degree, and I have been working kind of alongside education as a clinical counselor. Right now I'm currently supporting Indigenous clients, so people all over BC through a clinic in Prince George called Strawberry Medicine Clinic. And I also work in community. So I'm going into communities to be the counselor on site for conversations about self-governance or child protection or any kind of important topic where a supportive counselor is needed. And lastly, I want to share a story about me as a young child. So I'm in the 4th grade. I was probably 9 years old, and my classroom teacher said to my mom, "Do you know that this kid can sing?" And my mom looked at my teacher and said, "No." And my teacher said, "She can really sing." And so my mom said, "Well, what do I do about that?" Like, I don't know what to do. And so the teacher said, "You need to put her in choirs." And so that started my journey with music. I became really focused on music all through my schooling experience. I was in all of the choirs. I played in the band. I went on to study music and get a music degree, a jazz degree, and then studied classically. And now I perform in different contexts. So with a singing group called Musica Intima, which is like a chamber ensemble classical singing. I sing like contemporary and traditional Indigenous music in different contexts. And these are some of the identities that I bring forward in my work that we'll be talking about today. So this question about belonging and healing, I said it's kind of the basis or the context for the work that I do. And I thought I would bring forward this model of a medicine wheel to show you. And with this medicine wheel, I'm really thinking about the 4 quadrants and how the goal is to create balance in these 4 quadrants, yourself at the center and these 4 realms that we want to create balance within. So the first realm being the spiritual realm. And within that spiritual realm, if I'm really wanting to achieve wellness, I want to have enough balance in the spiritual realm. And I see that as hope, like a sense of hope. In the physical realm of my being, along with my physical wellness, I want to have a sense of purpose. So we're going to talk about the programs that I'm leading in the context of this medicine wheel. In the mental realm, really looking at a sense of meaning, like what is the meaning that I take here? What is my, how does that relate to the purpose and my sense of hope, and creating balance between those 3 realms. And lastly, the emotional realm. So understanding that if I am in balance emotionally, then I will feel a sense of belonging and I will feel connected to others, connected to myself, connected to my spirituality, my physical wellness, my sense of purpose, and my mental well-being, and my sense of meaning that I hold. So when we're thinking about healing songs, like what is that? What is a healing song? I don't know that there's a definition. I think this is probably subjective, but for me, a healing song is a song that connects to or creates a meaningful feeling or experience. So I'm going to ask you to reflect on this. A song that connects to or creates a meaningful feeling or experience. Now for me, I have a song that comes forward right away, jumps to the front of my mind. I know that this song holds meaning because there's a feeling attached to it. When I hear this song, when I sing this song, I've got 2 distinct memories that come forward. Now that song holds a special power. It holds the opportunity for connection or healing for me. It's a song that I'm going to associate with good feelings. So that would be a healing song. How does culture connect to these healing songs? Well, I'd like to talk to you about this program. So this is the VYC Kindred program. And the conception of this program came about actually through a conversation with a dear friend of mine who leads the Vancouver Youth Choir. Her name's Carrie Tennant. She gave me a call and she said, hey, I'm thinking about this idea of bringing together newcomers, newcomer youth, refugee youth, with Indigenous people and teachings and knowledge, so that their first experience in BC is really about learning about the traditions that happened here in Canada first, traditionally. And she said, does that sound like something that you'd be interested in? And I was like, yeah, of course. Of course, that is everything I'm interested in. How do we make that happen? So we just kind of bounced ideas at first, and I invited my friend Russell Wallace to come and help me lead this program. So together, Russell and I bring together youth, and we learn about Indigenous music, Indigenous culture, and singing and drumming tradition, and we talk about the cultural traditions within the circle. So this circle is very intercultural. There are a lot of different countries represented, a lot of languages represented. And the VYC Kindred program really connects to a traditional practice from my community. Okay, it connects to the idea that singing and drumming honors our ancestors. So in my cultural tradition, when we honor our ancestors, we are aligned. We are aligned with our past and our future. We are in balance. We're connected. So it's important for me that when I'm thinking about a healing song, I'm thinking about songs that are connective, that really link me to, a familiar, a familial, or a cultural feeling or experience. In my tradition, drumming and singing is medicine. It heals us. And it's really interesting in this circle as we're drumming and singing and we ask the participants to, talk to each other, reflect, share out their experience. It's interesting to me how many people talk about this idea of, wow, I felt this way coming in and I feel so different now. Like I share those words, this is medicine from my cultural tradition. This is medicine. And people talk about how I understand that concept. It's not my tradition, but I understand it because of what I feel. So they're making connections to my cultural tradition. And when they share stories about their cultural identity or traditions, and they're telling their story or they're sharing their song, I can relate to it through my own experiences. So in that way, we're making these bridges that are really healing. And also, drumming and singing holds spiritual significance. It's associated with ceremony in my tradition. And so when we're in this space, I'm connecting to that. And sometimes when we're drumming, somebody will share, like, this is like a drum in my country. It's very similar, or I have a story that reminds me of this. And they share those things and they associate with their own practices, and that is healing. Okay, so this is a moment where I'm going to explain what I'm thinking, and then we'll come off of the screen share and come back and have a conversation. So throughout my life, and maybe you're the same, I have picked up songs. I can remember songs from really, really early on that kind of come into my mind and they stick. And the songs come from memories, they come from experiences, they come from like cultural traditions, but these songs come and they just kind of keep sticking in my mind. And so I like to say that I collect songs in my song basket. They all stay in that basket. And as I travel through my lifetime, sometimes I'll pull out a song and I use that song as medicine. It could be inside my mind. It could be that I sing a song. And maybe you relate to this. Sometimes the song will be there and I haven't heard it for years. And I recall the song and all of the words drop in. They're just right there like they never left. So that tells me that that song has been traveling in my song basket. So I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment. And I'm going to invite you to come and join me in the space. If you feel comfortable, put your camera on. Hello, so nice to see you. And thank you. Thank you for joining. Lovely. And I just invite you to reflect on these songs that you have in your basket. And I'm going to ask somebody to maybe share, like, the name of a song or the story of a song. Remember when I said the song came to me? Like right away, I could bring that song forward, and with it came the flood of feeling and those two distinct memories, right? So these songs are our healing songs. And in our care settings, we can really use this as a tool with the people that we're working with. We can draw on these connections and building those bridges and building connected feelings through experiencing other people, not just one-on-one, but in a group setting. So I've given you an extra couple minutes. Did you notice that, to think of your songs? Yeah, giving you a little bit of time to think and reflect. All right, so I wonder if somebody would be willing to share what that song is and the story that goes along. And you can just go ahead and, throw a hand up and say, I'm going to unmute. Yeah, thank you, Andrea.
The first song that came to my mind was a song my mom used to sing to me when I was very young. And it's kind of a pop song, but for some reason I just make that connection with her, and it's Doris Day, Que Sera Sera.
Ah, I see some nodding. If I'm in a workshop setting, I will ask people to share in this way. And then I will just put it out there. If that song is coming forward and wants to be shared, you can absolutely share that song. And in first meeting with these people who come to the circle and they don't know anybody, it just like fills me with warmth when people the song just escapes. It just wants to be shared, right? And everybody feels it in the circle, like that honest offering, that gift giving in that moment, with this sharing of a personal connected story, and we all connect. We all feel that sense of belonging. This is an opportunity. Like, this is setting the soil, fertilizing the soil for the good work that we're going to do in our sessions together. Does anybody else want to share a song that came forward? Yeah, thank you, Peggy.
Sure. What came to my mind first was Sunshine on My Shoulders, because I love summertime, and I sometimes it helps me to, sort of be happy, just like the sun does. Yeah.
Sunshine on My Shoulders. I don't know that song.
Oh, it's a John Denver one,
Oh, okay.
kind of country. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd
I'm
sing,
so
but you don't want to hear me sing.
I'm so interested though. Thank you for
Sunshine on my
sharing.
shoulders, you make me so happy. Yeah,
Oh,
someone else will sing it for you.
yay! Thank you so much, Peggy. And I'll just leave it open for anybody else before we move on. Is there somebody else who would share? Thank you.
I'll share one that I came across the melody through the like psychedelic folk rock group Pentangle, and it was in the backdrop of the main melody as a round,
Hmm.
and then there was a friend of mine who was coming over from France to study, and somehow we ended up stumbling onto this melody together, and she said, this is like an old French melody, and she taught it to us as she knew it, and we sang it as a round. So it just was a nice bridge of like something that we both had in our own memory bank, but and then found new meaning um together with that.
That's
And
so
I can't
amazing.
remember the name of the French melody, so forgive me.
That's so amazing. And just listening to the story behind the song, my heart is coming into that story. Right? Something's already happening for me just by you sharing. It's a John Denver song, or this connection between this peer, and we had that that story together, that song together. When we feel that connection, we are already in the process. We are already starting the good work. So I always share in the settings. I'm a trained musician, but you do not need to be a trained musician to do this good work. I share that in my tradition, we're not performing. So I have to take off that that kind of idea that I'm doing something with technique, or that I have to do things in certain ways musically. I have to unmarry that idea, and I have to align with, I'm singing to honor ancestors, I'm singing to heal in community. I don't warm up my voice. It's a very different experience when I am thinking about music for healing. And I actually want to invite you right now to reflect for a moment on the permission that you're giving yourself right now to be in our community, learning and talking together. So there's a permission sometimes people come in with, and that permission changes over time as we acclimatize to the circle. So when we're off camera, sometimes maybe we're in the space, in a different way than when we're on camera. And the same thing happens in a circle or in a care setting. Sometimes my clients will come in and they're off camera at first. Do you know what I mean? And it takes just a little bit of connection before they're on camera and they're with you. So maybe check in on your own self-permission. What was it when you arrived in our webinar today? Has it shifted at all? And then reflect as we go through and see if it changes and continues to change, because I think this is part of the work that I will be talking about as well. I'm just looking for the screen. There it is. It's all at the bottom. Okay. Can you see that? Nod your head if you can see the image there. Yeah? Okay. So thank you for sharing your songs, your healing songs that come forward for you. Cultural or familiar music can foster a space of healing and belonging, not only for people from whose tradition the music comes from, but for all people, when people feel connected. So if any of the three people who shared in that small space had felt the, kind of the self-permission come forward to share out loud, I don't need to have a connection with that song to feel connected. Not just to the song, but to the people, to the experience. And when we do this in a community, and maybe it's like sharing songs on a recording, maybe it's just prioritizing that we have songs that are healing for us and bringing those forward with the people that we are working with. That can be the thing that really braids us together. So I want to share a song with you now. I want to bring you into this experience that you would have in this program that I'm talking about. The song that I'll share, I will share the story. So this is part of my cultural tradition, that when we share the song, we share the story, or we share where the song comes from. We orient that song to a person and a place. So for me, I was driving in this territory that you see on the screen, and it was a blizzard. It was really snowy and really windy. And I actually jumped off of one of the mountain highways up high, and I dropped down to the lower kind of highway that followed the river. And I did that to be more safe. I had my two children in the back. The context was that it was COVID and we really couldn't travel. It was kind of when they were saying only necessary travel. So going from point A to point B and no stopping. And I remember feeling really isolated at that time. And I remember being on the road, holding the steering wheel, and I had a melody going through my head, and the melody was bothering me. Like I was almost kind of like trying to shoo it away because I was focusing so hard on the road. And my children were in the back seat. They were about 14 and maybe 12 at the time. And driving along, and this melody's bothering me, and my oldest child said, "Mom, Mom, Mom, look." And I'm like, look, like I have to look at the road. And so I just kind of, dismissed it. And I'm driving and I'm focusing, and the snow is doing that snaking thing on the road where it's like blowing around and you can't see the lines. And my child says, "Mom, Mom, look, look." And I'm like, I can't look right now. Like I just have to focus. But I can't focus because this melody's there. And then my child's like, Mom, please, just you gotta look at the ravens. And so holding the wheel, I duck my head down below the headrest to look out the back window, out that side of the car, and I see in this ravine above the river, between the mountains, I see these ravens. And here I am, like gripping the steering wheel, trying to keep my children safe. And these ravens are diving and flipping and diving. And in that brief moment that I saw, I had all of the freedom that I wasn't experiencing. It was out the car window, and it was in this complete blizzard storm. And so I continued to drive, and I thought, wow, there's a lesson here. This is a teaching. What is the lesson that the ravens are teaching me right now? And it was that, like, this scary time will end. There will be freedom again. There will be the opportunity to cross borders and go and see family, which is something I felt really isolated from. And as soon as I made that connection, I started to pay attention to the melody, and I realized, oh, I've been denying a melody that's trying to come. The song is trying to come. So the song is about the ravens. And the melody and the words came at the same time. It goes like this. The words are, I wanna fly away a high-o. I wanna fly away a high-o with open arms and wings below. I wanna fly, oh hee-o. When I'm singing oh hee-o, those are called vocables. And vocables hold the intention of the song. So in this case, the intention of the song is like wanting to be free. It came to me in COVID, right? So wanting to be free, wanting to be with family, wanting to make connections, wanting to be with our communities. I'm going to invite you to sing the song in a moment, but I'll teach it first. I wanna fly away a high-o. I wanna fly away a high-o with open arms and wings below. I wanna go, oh hee-o. So that's the song that came. I'm going to stop the screen share for a moment. Okay, so the words, I want to fly away a high-o, holding the intention in away a high-o. I want to fly away a high-o with open arms and wings below. I want to go, oh hee-o. So I'll teach it section by section. And what you can do, if you want to, and you can check in with, you know, where are you at right now? What permission do you want to give yourself to participate in what way? And all of it is great. You can be on camera and you can be muted. You can be off camera. You can sing. You can listen. You can drum like this. You can drum on a surface. But it's really important to know that we're not performing for each other in any way. We're actually honoring each other, and we are being in community together. I wanna fly away a high-o. I wanna fly away a high-o with open arms and wings below. I wanna go, oh hee-o. I wanna fly away a high-o. I wanna fly away a high-o with open arms and wings below. I wanna go, oh hee-o. Now the song continued on because I was driving, and then I noticed my thumb starts doing double time on my steering wheel, which is always my drum. And I'm like, oh, there's more. And the chant came, and the chant is, way up high, away high, high, away up high, away up high, way up high, away high, high, away So the whole song completed. I sang it with my kids. I sang it at home. The song just kept in oral tradition going round and round until it joined the basket. Okay? So this song is one of the songs that I use in my program. I share this song because the story is really meaningful and it's connective and it's in line with what we are trying to accomplish, which is to heal in community. So this is the actual photo. The other photo I did with a treatment, but this is the actual photo, but obviously not in the winter. This is the St'át'imc territory where my family comes from, and this is in Lillooet. I want you to reflect and think about, what did it feel like for you to listen to the singing and to the story of the song? And maybe describe that in your mind. What was that like for you? And if you were drumming along, what was that like? Did it change your experience to actually tap or to drum or to beat while you were singing? And if you were singing, what was it like to sing? What was it like to sing in your head? What was it like to sing in your heart, or to sing in your mouth and sing out loud? Because it's likely that you were doing one of those three. What was that like for you? So we're thinking about care settings. We want to be thinking about, how can we build this connection with the people that we work with? So I want to share two programs. One of them I've already talked about, the VYC Kindred program. That's the program that was in that big circle. And I also want to share the Vocali program. So Vocali is an organization that I have worked with for probably 5 years or so. I've worked in different contexts as a consultant. I worked as an intern with them for a time. I also have been artist in residence for the past year, actually. And one of the things that I've done is to lead circles or lead different programs, wellness programs. This particular circle was about singing to give joy or to bring joy. And the whole focus was really about, how do we experience joy when we are singing together? But the extension to that is building community, developing a sense of wellness in a community. So I'm going to play this video for you, and I think you'll be able to see evidence of belonging here. I'm really honored to be presenting this workshop on the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. All the people on the earth are around the outside of the drum. And in the center of the drum is the Creator. And we are all spaced equidistant from the Creator, because we are all related, right? All my relations, we are all related. And so when I'm playing the drum, I'm really thinking about how connective we are. As we sing and drum together, we are connected. We are all part of the same circle. You know, sometimes in our society, in our school society, we are expected to learn really quickly. You see it and you have to do it right away. But that's not actually culturally traditional for me. It's like, watch for a while, take my time, see how I feel on that day. Maybe I want to try now. Maybe I wanted to try right away. You know, but I encourage you to be here in the way that feels right for you today. All right? When you feel like you know what's coming next in the song, I invite you to join in. And if you want to drum before that, go ahead. But as soon as you feel like, oh, that melody's sounding familiar, I think I can sing it, then I invite you in. There's no wrong way to do it. We say music and drumming and singing is medicine. But the feeling that I get when I'm singing and when I teach choir, I like people to be aware of that feeling is the medicine. The feeling of like, oh, this feels so good, or that smile. What does it feel like in your body when you have a smile? It's like, okay, we know the smile, but what about the rest of you? It's smiling too. we get signals that it's smiling too. So I just, I invite you to kind of pay attention to the calm in your body or what you're experiencing or whatever you have going on. Just pay attention as we sing together. With open arms and wings below, I wanna go. Last one without drums. With open arms and wings below, I wanna go. Okay. So did you see belonging in the space? Yeah. And think about the different contexts that you work in. And think about, what does it look like in the space that you're in? Maybe you want to think about what you just saw. What was the evidence of belonging? And I can share, like for me, it was in the smiles. It was in the exploration. So a lot of those community members were blind at Vocal Eye. Vocal Eye provides arts access to the blind community in all different programs. And so it was the questions. It was actually one of the participants came, and when I was doing my teacher ed program, it was a teacher that was in my class beside me, and she was blind, and we were in a conducting class. And I remember just feeling brave enough to ask her, can I help you? And can I put your arm on top of mine so you can feel what we're doing? Because the teacher's teaching at the front of the room. And she doesn't know what conducting looks like. And so I asked her, would you like to put your arm on mine? So that story came out in the circle, and their stories and their connections to music and their songs that they hold in their baskets came forward. And it was just like this joyous workshop. And there was belonging all over the place. Even those sleepy dogs who were, those seeing eye dogs who are just feeling so comfortable in the space that they can just doze off when we're singing. It was just beautiful. So what does belonging look like in the context of this medicine wheel that I talked about? In these 4 realms, the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, the mental and the emotional. What does it look like in this context? I think self-permission. When we start to give ourselves permission to participate in a different way, and it's evolving, the evolution of that can really build a sense of hope. When joy and peace are experienced through others or through ourselves, when we are listening to other people share their stories, and it can be in a one-on-one setting. It can be built through connection with one person. But when we start to feel those moments of joy and peace, I think that can really improve our sense of hope and create balance in that hope realm. In terms of our physicality and our sense of purpose, there's motivation, group motivation, right? If I go into a setting where everybody's into it and I'm not really, there's a good chance I'm going to start getting into it. If I'm working one-on-one with somebody or in a very small group setting and other people are motivated, there's a good chance I'm going to get that good medicine in me too. A sense of achievement, right? Singing, drumming, participating, self-confidence that comes with that. And the choice of how I show up. How do I participate? Am I all in, camera on from the second I arrive, or do I take my time? Or maybe on a certain day it's less and another day it's more, or maybe up and down within the same time that we're together. But I have autonomy, I have choice, and that can give me a sense of purpose. In terms of our mental realm and developing a sense of meaning, that opportunity for reflection. So I break into conversations frequently, like doing the work and then going into reflection, doing the work and going into reflection, because I feel like that reflection piece is the thing that starts, healing, starts the healing when I can make connections. Understanding myself differently can create meaning, and being more aware of how I am with others. How do I interact with this group? How is that changing me, and what new realizations are coming from that? I think this all shows up in that workshop setting that you just saw. And in the emotional realm, that sense of belonging, feeling connected, feeling that sense of community, feeling like we are creating a sound together. So whatever that sound is, it can be only instrumental without voices, or it can be contributing to what music is shared and how it's shared. But we are all collaborating in that. And lastly, and obviously, a sense of inclusion. I'm part of this. A sense of community is fundamental to wellness in Indigenous communities. I will say that because we're talking about culture and we're talking about belonging and healing. But it's fundamentally helpful to all people. And that's why I like these intercultural spaces, because I feel like we actually heal in community within our own communities and in community within our whole community, you know, when we have the opportunity to connect with each other. So what about the value of belonging in care settings? I don't know your settings, but I'm imagining that in your settings, you may have people that you're working with who deal with challenges, who are maybe counterbalancing feelings of isolation and loneliness or separation from, you know, maybe their community, their family, maybe from wellness. Maybe they're feeling isolated or separated from people who are well, in whatever ways you define that. And maybe, let me see if I can get my next one to come up. Maybe they're feeling discouraged. Okay, maybe in the context that you're in, you know, I have been in a different place in my life and now I'm here and I feel discouraged by that. Or I feel a sense of hopelessness. I don't see this changing. I don't see my quality of life changing, or I don't see my situation or context changing very quickly. And maybe I feel afraid because I feel so isolated and disconnected and discouraged and hopeless. Okay, so I feel like belonging counterbalances these feelings that keep us unwell. And that's why it's so important to bring forward belonging in the healing practice and process. A sense of belonging can restore community feeling, which encourages positivity, hope, and wellness. Do you agree? It can result in a connection to self and others, improved motivation, improved commitment. Oh, that's a big one, right? When I'm working with my counseling clients, I'm often checking in subtly with that idea of like, how committed are we to the process, right? And when we have that like sense of commitment, that sense of motivation, that's where I know we are on the growing edges. Right? Improved interest, improved energy, and a shift in focus. That's the goal. So this is the Kindred program, different than the workshop that you saw. This is a program that typically meets for 6 sessions. It's a multicultural program, intergenerational program as well. So this particular group, I'm just looking at the age group. I see right in the center there was a 2-year-old, and maybe the person in the far right side, his name is Russell. He co-facilitates. He's probably the oldest person in this group. But it is just a beautiful opportunity for us to be healing and growing together. Do you recognize the song? Feel free to sing along if you want. You'll hear it start to echo. And you'll hear the chant come in later too.
This program is one of the most valuable things to me right now in my life. It feels like a slice of humanity, and it's very special. And to have people from so many different backgrounds from around the earth.
It provides a very open and welcoming channel for other cultures, immigrants.
It is very welcoming, I guess, because I'm Indigenous and I'm actually a mentor here.
It was great because I got to meet a lot of new people from different culture, and everyone is very respectful and inclusive and welcoming.
We would have a rehearsal, a singing session with the drums, and afterwards we didn't just leave. We still stayed there and talked to each other and get a chance to know each other better. And as for newcomer especially, it's so important to get to know people.
I'm very impressed learning that these songs are all written by Diane and Russell. Their songs are personal to them and their story and their roots.
It's very comforting for us to sing together with them, to learn their ways.
There's one thing I will always remember from Deanna and Russell. You don't have to apologize for speaking your language. That tells me much about freedom. You can be free to say your thoughts, act whatever you like, as long as you don't harm others. Similarly, for cultures, you can hold on to your own culture, you can speak your language, but you don't want to hurt other cultures. So the more you value your own culture, the more you know how to share with others' culture. So that's what I've learned.
And we're going to stop there because I know that we only have an hour in our webinar. I hope this illustrates sort of the things that I'm talking about. I think they say it best, you know? I think that we have so many opportunities to be learning from and healing with the people that we work with by allowing them to be the leaders. Oh, well, that's one moment. Okay, that is not what I was trying to do. Okay. Just want to see if I am actually still in my presentation. I am. Okay, pause for a second because I'm not really sure where the presentation is trying to go. Okay. Sharing cultural or other meaningful songs fosters relationality and personal reflection, which can elevate motivation and opportunities for wellness. Sharing culture and other meaningful songs. So the relationship aspect is our bridging, is our sense of community. And really, this is the theme of the whole presentation. Belonging is the medicine. So it's through that all of the other things can happen. Belonging is the fertilizer in the soil from which all of the healing and wellness can grow. And what does it look like in that program that we just saw? Just moving a screen here. It looks like, oh gosh. It looks like new friendships. So the people come together and nobody in the circle, or very few people, know each other to start. Community meals, so particularly with the VYC Kindred program, we provide a meal and we provide transit stipends for people to access the program. So every time we come together, we share and then we eat together and we have conversations. A shared sense of purpose. So we're all here doing the same thing. We are here to collaborate. We make music together. We feel all those feelings, those connective feelings. And through that and our conversations, we're sort of determining what wellness is in this space. And sometimes that's implicit and sometimes that's explicit. There are opportunities for intercultural connections and understandings because we're asking those questions. You know, what are you taking away? What is meaningful? How did music show up for you in your life? Where do you remember having your first meaningful musical experiences? There's opportunities for participants to express, tell stories, share about their own cultures, share their own songs from their song baskets, and share their knowledge and make connections. So in that interview where participants are saying, you know, what is meaningful about the program to them, we had never had conversations with them. You know, it was people coming forward and saying, you know what, I really want to share what I'm taking away. And so it was beautiful to hear those recordings after and learn about, you know, that last person who spoke, that really it's about freedom. I'm learning about the freedom to understand myself culturally in this context and how we can bridge together. And that, in that case, sounded healing for that participant. And lastly, belonging is this feeling of connection and nostalgia, connection to our home, our family, our culture, our community. And for people who maybe don't feel connected to their nuclear family, people talk about their connections to friendships, their relationships. And that is the sense of belonging that they're experiencing. So whether you're working in one-on-one settings or in a group setting, drawing from each other's cultural knowledge, practices, and experiences can help to create a collective sense of belonging, motivation, and positivity. So if I'm lacking that in my own life, maybe in my medicine wheel, I'm not quite balanced. My emotional realm, my sense of belonging is not very well developed. I've got a hole there, a deficit, kind of, I'm feeling lacking in that area. Then maybe somebody else's connection to knowledge, practice, cultural experience can help to drum up that motivation and that feeling of belonging and positivity within me. So these opportunities for us to build wellness through connection, I think, are fundamental. Resonating with our own and others' songs and stories is healing, restorative, and connective. Belonging is the medicine. We heal in community. And I want you to look at these pictures. I think these are just candid snapshots. And when I looked through all of the photos, these ones jumped out at me as like the picture of belonging. We have teachers, healers, and leaders all among us. What I want you to notice is that I am not central in these photos. They are connecting with each other, they're sharing with each other, and my voice is part of the collective, it's part of the community, but it's not the only source of information or offering for wellness. And this brings us to the end of my presentation and maybe an opportunity to just come and say a quick goodbye.
Thank you. This was so informative. My mind is floored with all kinds of thoughts to reflect on this evening as we go into the night. Are there any comments or anybody have anything they want to reflect to Deanna?
Just, yeah, offering thanks, and this felt like a nice kind of ceremonial way to spend a full moon. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very much, Deanna. And on that note, I wish everybody a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks for giving us the gift of your webinar today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.